हेलो। आज हमारे साथ फिर से मिस हेमाली गाड़ा जुड़े हैं। एज यू नो, she has a double masters, one in special education and the other one in guidance and counseling, and she's currently pursuing her PhD in special education. She's working as a visiting assistant professor at Department of Special Education, SNDT Women's University, and teaching at B.Ed and diploma level. She's also teaching at the Department of Human Development. She's teaching the BSc and the MSc students. So welcome once again, Himali. Thank you so much for coming to my channel.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. So, viewers, today we're going to talk about who is a slow learner. So, I'm going to ask Himali to tell us a little bit about slow learners.
Okay, so slow learners are people, are students.
Mm,
Okay, if I say that they are students who have difficulty keeping in pace with their peers and they are facing academic, I will say academic progress. So that is the reason there is a lot of gap between a slow learner. Why? Because when I say the gap increases over the time,
mm,
because they have that, they face difficulty in retention of information. They take the information, or I would say the processing speed of taking the information is also slow. So in that, they have difficulties in academics
mm,
also, even if academics, any other thing also when they are doing, because they take, suppose like if I say, if I'm giving them instructions, they will take time to register the instructions. Now because when they are taking less more time to take those instructions inside, then they have to remember those instructions, then they have to work according to the instructions. There can be a lag. Now because of that lag, what happens is that that gap increases over time.
mm.
So if I say in just short that they are students who have difficulty keeping pace with academic expectations compared to their peers.
Okay. So, I believe that one of the assessment that is done is an IQ test to identify them as a slow learner, to diagnose them as a slow learner. So, what would be the score on the IQ test?
So generally it ranges between 70 to 85, but the problem is that they are not diagnosed as intellectual disability and they don't even come under SLD. So somewhere these variations, might hinder, because it is very difficult, at least if I'm talking about India, it is very difficult for institutions, or if I say people who are experts, to identify slow learners, because they are somewhere between intellectual disability and SLD, but they don't fall in under any other categories.
Oh, so does that mean, but do they get any concessions like how the children with the
If I say these are informal concessions, what they get
hmm,
from various institutions, from various boards, so they would get, like if they come in that category, they
hmm,
would get extra time, they would get a reader, they would get the facility of a scribe, they would get, if I say, adapted curriculums. Sometimes the portion is being less for them, so that way those concessions are being provided. Sometimes alternate assessments are done with them, alternate, if I say, alternate modes of taking assessments in schools. Those
hmm.
internal marks are being added. So it depends from board to board, it depends from curriculum to curriculum, it depends from institution to institution, how they want to work with them.
But when they get their assessment done from a government hospital, they are not entitled for concessions.
So it is mentioned like some of them, again, now that is also like a debatable question, if I say, because some of them do mention it, but again, if you go to see according to the RPWD Act, they are not there in those 21 disabilities.
Right.
Now, if because they are not there in those 21 disabilities, it is very difficult to say what provisions would be given to them, what concessions to be given to them, because now SLD is being recognized, intellectual disability is there. They have proper concessions, proper provisions, exemptions are there. For them, it is like, informal. As I mentioned earlier, also, informal accommodations, informal modifications, exemptions are provided based from school to school.
Hmm. Okay. And how would you recognize that this child is a slow learner? At what grade or what age?
So generally, a slow learner is a student who has academic delays.
Hmm.
If I say a gap of 2 years, if जब मैं academic delay, if I'm talking about a gap of 2 years, they show consistent academic struggle.
Hmm.
When I'm saying, that's the very first thing, if you want to identify a slow learner. Of course, now I'm not saying that you see everyone and you just tell them ki, this student is a slow learner, this student is a slow learner. Then they require additional time to grasp concepts.
Hmm. Hmm.
Again, cognitive abilities, when the second one is cognitive abilities, so they have below average intelligence, as I had mentioned. And again, they are not classified as intellectual disable, nor they come in that SLD category. So again, the second one is that they have an IQ between 70 to 85. The IQ falls in that way. Third is their processing speed. जब मैं प्रोसेसिंग स्पीड की बात करती हूँ, they process information really at a very slow rate compared to their peers.
Hmm.
So if I am learning in maybe suppose 5 minutes, they might really take 30 minutes. Just an example, so you get an idea what do you mean by slow rate.
Hmm.
Also, they require repeated exposure to material. Every now and then you will have to expose these students to the material, so that every now and then you can say they require a lot of repetition.
Hmm.
The next one is they have difficulty with abstract thinking. So
Hmm.
you will have to present the material in a very, very concrete way, because they really find it difficult to understand abstract concepts. Slow learners also do have limited vocabulary. Now, look at the thing, limited vocabulary. I would say the vocabulary would be underdeveloped, because, and this will affect the other domains, like, it will affect reading comprehension, it will affect reading, it will affect their verbal comprehension skills. So, those areas will be affected. Then they would be having poor problem solving skills, because till the time they understand everything, till the time they react, almost it will be very difficult for them to solve the problem. So
Hmm.
then there would be a problem in solving issues. So these are some of the characteristics if you want to identify a slow learner.
Okay. So when should a teacher or a parent, when should a teacher suggest that this child needs to be assessed, whether it's a slow learner or not, or when does the parent know that?
Okay, so if I'm saying that, when you get, again, when you get to see such students in your classroom, and
Hmm.
when you see these characteristics or symptoms, what I have mentioned, over a period of time,
Hmm.
even if you've tried most of the activities, because if you are in a classroom, you have no idea about how to handle, but when you've tried some activities after discussion with your team, and still it is not working out, then I would suggest that he or she should go for a further diagnostic, and after that they should be provided with special education services.
So in the primary, or should we wait till they go till to the
See, primary, I would again, I think I have mentioned earlier also, primary, it is little difficult, because when they're young, I feel that, sometimes they would just want to explore the world. So if I'm talking about, like, I'm talking about junior KG, senior KG, that's too early. I
Hmm.
won't suggest that. Yeah, but if I'm talking about the formal schooling years,
Hmm.
the primary formal schooling years, yes, if you feel that you can see all these characteristics, yes, it's you should be referring them.
Okay. And then once they are diagnosed, and then once the parent also knows that this he's not able to function in a school, so what happens? I mean, does he have to be put into a special school, or does he function in an integrated school where?
So I will suggest slow learners are, it is once you understand a slow learner, if I say that way, it is, as a special educator, if you're asking me, it is easy to work with them. Once you understand the nature, how they're learning concepts, once you've understood their learning style, once you understood that, okay, you have to give them this much pace in learning, it is not really that difficult to work with a slow learner. Like,
Mm.
if you're asking my perspective, because I have worked with slow learners, so initial phase, like if I say initial months, till the time you know your child, you're observing the child, you've understood how the child is working, all the details have been taken by you, then accordingly the remaining sessions you can work with the slow learner, and they will be able to, or you can work with them in an integrated classroom also. So yes, it is little challenging because it's a mixed ability classroom. So you will have to have separate material for them, separate methodology for them. You would have to use differentiated instructions with them. You will have to give them that much time for them to register, retain the information. That is little challenging, but it is not difficult.
Yeah, so that means the teacher needs to be very well aware of the strategies and that.
Yes,
Mhm.
very well aware of the strategies. She should be very patient. You
Hmm.
see, sometimes now if I say in a classroom, integrated classroom, when you are want to complete the syllabus, okay, we as teachers, we are in a hurry because we want to complete the syllabus, and we feel that okay, fine, they will learn by their own. Everything will happen at the, from their family point of view. They will take care of it. Then that doesn't work out. It is like, what, whenever you're working with a slow learner, or whenever you're working with a child with disability, collaboration is the key. Parent teacher collaboration is a must. So whatever you've been doing in the classroom, the same thing is being followed by the parent at home with
Hmm.
a slow learner. It will be very effective. So if you giving them 15 minutes for a time to understand the information, you can also tell the parents to do the same thing at home, and let us work together so that you can help the child.
Hmm.
So that way, yes, as you mentioned, yes, they should be aware about strategies. They should be working a lot with different strategies. They should be very patient, very flexible, adaptable also when they're working. They can use a lot of cooperative and collaborative strategies also when you're working with a slow learner. You can also have a peer buddy system with a slow learner, so that in your absence or when you are not around, that person can help a slow learner. So that way, a teacher can plan things.
Hmm. Right, right. No, thank you. Thank you so much, Hemali. That was very, very useful information, and I'm sure parents and teachers will make use of that information. And
You're
uh,
most welcome, Vinaz ma'am. And again, once again, thank you for providing me with this opportunity, and all the very best to all the learners.
thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So much, Hemali. Looking forward to seeing you once again.
Sure, definitely. I think with them, with a very positive feedback from your channel, I think even I will be more engrossed in learning more and revising more information so that I can also help a majority of the audience. So thank you very
That's
much.
great. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.